Awesome, awesome. First of all, thanks, Axelar team. Really excited to have this chat with you guys on Twitter. CT is often like the leading indicator for everything good that's cooking up in Twitter and in terms of Web3. So really excited to be here with you. So nice to talk to you, Sergey.
Hey, great to chat as well. Yeah, and thanks for stopping by. Do you want to do quick intros and we can dive in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Parth. I'm the general manager for Polygon Supernets. As you know, Polygon is getting the best of scalability out there for the entire Web3 ecosystem around the world, and we're really investing hundreds of millions of dollars into getting the best tech and the best solutions, whether it be for dedicated blockchains, for ZK rollups, or everything in between. So specifically for Polygon Supernets, what we do is we have created our dedicated blockchain or app chain program and solution. This is for the tier one leading Fortune 500s or gaming giants or DeFi giants across the world to onboard their next billion users by solving go-to-market and scalability at a very high performance level, right? So we've seen in the past that any dApp that aims to compete with Web2 performance, they need to be implemented at dedicated app chains or rollups. So what we're doing is we are future-proofing Supernet chains for not only EVM chain scalability, but also in the future ZK rollup scalability, right? And what we know that is building a dedicated chain yourself and going to market is very hard. So we work with all our esteemed kind of large-scale tier one customers to make it easier for them to get to market and get to production faster than any other option. So super excited to be working with Axelar to bring in interoperability and cross-chain functionality.
Awesome, amazing. Well, Parth, this bit it's been amazing, the explanation, but maybe just to take a step back, right? Could you give a high-level overview, right? Like what is it again? Like just a supernet? It's its own network, right? And I guess maybe what's the relationship of this network with the Polygon sort of main chain, or these are independent networks? Can you talk maybe a little bit how the validators are chosen on these supernet networks, and then we can dive from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, a Polygon Supernet chain is a dedicated chain that can run either as its own L1, or it can run as a rollup, or it can run as a sidechain as well. So we're giving complete flexibility to any sort of customer use case. What that means is we've actually created our own EVM client from the ground up. So that's called Polygon Edge, and that has cutting edge tech and cutting edge performance as well for EVM sequential chains. This allows you to then work on massive app chain use cases for any sort of EVM dApp, where you have either a permissionless or permissioned network running on your own validators or running on the large third-party validator ecosystem that we're bringing. So in terms of the validator ecosystem, we're actually onboarding the leading POS mainnet validators who have provably secured hundreds of millions of value in the POS Polygon mainnet, right? And they have a great track record of success and performance. So we're opening up them as ecosystem partners to all our Supernets customers to then also leverage them for their own dedicated nodes and their own dedicated validator sets for their own Supernets chains.
Awesome, makes sense. And I guess as you talk about now multiple networks, right? Then connecting them together, becomes pretty essential, right? And that's where kind of we're working together on that connectivity piece. I guess curious, where do you envisage these kind of super nodes to talk to? Is it like the Polygon main chain? Is it Ethereum? Is it some other ecosystems? Where do you think this connection will be vital?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned at the start of this AMA, we're looking at any sort of tier one customer who's looking at millions of users to be onboarded, and therefore different use cases need to be enabled for them. So we talk about, let's say, leading banks. For example, Nubank, we've announced they're building on Supernets. They're building an amazing leading Web3 loyalty program, the first of its scale and kind in the entire LATAM, versus a gaming giant, right? So a massive gaming studio who needs to enable hundreds of millions of players to easily onboard and then move tokens, assets, NFTs between different chains and to different chains from their Supernets chain. So it could be one use case where a chain needs to integrate with the Polygon POS mainnet, another one with the ETH mainnet, another one with another Supernet, for example. A very interesting set of use cases have opened up because of the interoperability between Supernets. So this is the third case we're talking about. This is where we're looking at creating an interchain model and a multi-chain model where you have different marketplaces, different hubs, different assets and tokenization ecosystems coexisting and being fully interoperable so that any sort of token or asset can be easily bridgeable between multiple Supernet chains. So that makes it very possible to do metaverse-related use cases as well. This means that some of the leading metaverse providers that we're onboarding on Supernets, they want a multi-chain ecosystem to grow, where they may be one hub marketplace chain, which connects to, let's say, 10 different gaming or different metaverse chains, and allowing a user or an asset or a game inventory to be seamlessly passing through each of these different chains back and forth. So these are the kind of powerful use cases that weren't possible before, but that's what we're exploring.
Awesome. No, this is super exciting. What are initial Supernets that are in testnet right now, or you think will go live soon that you can share and kind of talk a little bit about?
Yeah, so we are actually going to be going live with all these names in Q1 2023. So currently we already have 35 plus chains running on Polygon Edge, which is the core client on which Supernets is built. But we're going to be having about 10 to 15 major, like tier one level customer announcements coming up by Q1. Right now, as you know, we've onboarded Nubank. We're onboarding a lot of gaming giants as well. But yeah, stay tuned on that. Q1 will be the time for us to kind of share that.
Nice. No, amazing. And I guess can you talk a little bit maybe about the developer experience for launching one of these Supernets or building on top of it? You guys are, I know you're doing a lot of work to automate some of the stuff, right? There's like Terraforms where you can like deploy a lot of it, with one-click experience. Yeah, can you talk a little bit about the developer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So you brought up a great point. We're really trying to automate and make the onboarding process as programmatic as possible so that it makes developers' journey and developers' life much easier, whether they're spinning up their first DevNet or testnet, or whether they're kind of transitioning to their own mainnet, Supernet. So like you mentioned, we have multiple templates with the leading cloud providers ready to go. So it could be Terraform templates and could be end-to-end templates where they're provisioning entire environments, including load balancers, all the nodes required, and all the VPC connections required. In addition to that, as you know, just spinning up a chain is never sufficient. You need the tooling providers, right? You need the additional Web3 tooling as a layer to really make the experience viable for your users. So this could be anything from your gaming or NFT APIs or gaming SDKs. Could be anything from bridges where Axelar is our partner. Could be from in terms of block explorers or oracles. So we're actually onboarding the top providers of each of these tooling categories to our Supernets marketplace. So that makes the integration and onboarding of each of these different types of required Web3 primitives very, very easy without having the customer. Most of them are Web2 giants, right? They have no idea about these Web3 primitives. So without having to make them talk one-on-one and experiment and slowly onboard each of these tooling providers, we have this ready to go for them.
No, this is amazing, and yeah, I think this is something we're pretty excited about to continue working towards together, right? Where an ability for a supernet to be spun up and be instantly connected, where the users don't have to make any extra configuration changes, don't have to set up any connections, bridges, or anything else, and kind of have them give them connectivity on day one, and it's definitely an experience that we're used to, right? In Web 2, when we spin up, a new database or a new network, and kind of connectivity comes in, and you just need to, do very minimal changes. And I think working towards the same level of user experience in Web 3, is pretty critical to continue onboarding new users, as you said.
Exactly. One thing I wanted to point out, we talk about Web2 giants, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with them as well. Most of them not only have a lack of Web3 understanding or talent because obviously they have massive Web2 developer teams, but they also need additional assistance in everything from solution architecture to dev ops to DApp development and smart contract auditing, right? All these are Web3 native tasks, which are really hard for a Web2 native giant to kind of take on hand. So we're actually also onboarding awesome implementation partners to help them do the end-to-end design, development, and deployment. So we have, on the first hand, we have tooling providers like Axelar and others to provide the Web3 experiences that are needed, the right APIs, the right connections, the right bridges. Then we have the validators, as I mentioned at the start of the call. And finally, we have the right kind of implementation partners to actually go out and develop and deploy for these clients.
Got it. This is amazing. And I guess as you guys are thinking about it, it's not a it's not a easy undertaking in some sense, right? Like having all the tooling, having all the developer relations, having all the support for a lot of these partners. Kind of how you guys think about scale of your team, of your company, or ecosystem in general to support this?
Yeah, that's a super cool question. So, as you know, Polygon has always prided ourselves on being ecosystem builders, right? So that's the mission of our founders, which is to build the Web3 ecosystem and empower the Web3 ecosystem. So, as you know, that's why we're being so open and we're being platform neutral. So we're bringing in leading providers like yourself as our partners. We're bringing in the top kind of dev shops. We're bringing in the top validators. Our game is to be as modular as possible, right? We don't want to have everything brought in-house because that is not the way to scale in terms of Web3. We want to take advantage of the ecosystem, and we put a lot of trust in that ecosystem, knowing that there are builders like us who are visionary, like yourself and your co-founders, who really want to Web3 to succeed. So that's number one. The second thing is obviously we're building in a massive kind of internal capacity for partnerships. So that's everything from partner success, which ensures end-to-end success for any tier one customer who comes on board. We bring in, of course, our solution architects and, of course, our DevOps and dev tooling. But the point is, we need to leverage the Web3 ecosystem, and I'm sure Axelar is also really focused on that.
Awesome. No, that makes sense. And I guess I'm curious, right? Like, what inspired you guys kind of starting to think along these lines? Because if we think about it, even a couple years ago in the industry, right? A lot of these concepts were not really talked about, right? Like how do you have solutions architect or supports for a lot of these enterprises. So do you think it's something in the market that's been changing? Do you think it's the technology that becoming more mature, or what do you think has happened over the last few years that's sort of leading towards these institutions entering the marketplace and for you guys to start thinking about it?
So I think this is where Polygon's been kind of leading from the front. So as you know, our four founders, they're super technically competent and very technically focused on really bridging the gap between what Web2 can offer and what Web3 can offer, right? So that has been in the ethos of Polygon, which is that how do we best build the tooling and the resources needed to make that tooling effective, right? So as you know, we've invested hundreds of millions into the leading ZK rollup tech, right? Which is now culminating in our ZK EVM efforts. And every single supernet will then have the option in the future to optionally become a ZK rollup, for example. I'll talk more about that later. But in terms of bringing in the entire partner success organization, right? Even product marketing for helping all our partners succeed. And of course, the solution architecture, dev tooling. This has been something that we've always wanted to build because without this, you cannot make the leap for onboarding the next billion users. It's just not going to happen. And at the level of partnerships that, as you know, Polygon is looking at, whether it's your Starbucks or your Reddit, etc., these are hundreds of millions of active users we're talking about. So we really wanted to set the house straight and make sure that we have the internal capabilities so that we can then leverage the same resources for all our other customers. So let's say, the biggest gaming studio of Asia comes to us, right? Let's say the biggest enterprise conglomerate or banking consortium comes to us. And they're saying that, hey, we have like 200 million users. We need to onboard them. Can you architect a solution that is scalable enough? So that's where we're leveraging our in-house expertise.
Awesome. No, this is super exciting, and I think certainly as we talk with more developers and even investors in the space, I think we're hearing more and more kind of a Web 2, both developers, right, and ecosystems are starting to enter. So I think statistical, like over 50% of actual developers that are getting funded, in the ecosystem are coming from Web 2. So giving them, an ability and stacks that they're familiar with, but still leverage the Web3 technology and like openness and permissionless of these platforms behind the scenes, I think, is just an incredibly exciting step for the whole industry.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. That's true.
Cool. Awesome. Well, and I guess another just question that some people have been asking is how are these, supernets interact with the Polygon Matic, right? And like, what is the relationship between them, if any at all?
Yeah. So as you know, when you're running a proof of stake chain, you have to secure it, right? You have to secure it with the stake. And we are mandating that every single supernet that comes on board, as they're going to be using the POS validators, or they could be using their own internal validator nodes. So we're very flexible on that. But all of them have to run in POS mode with staking with Matic stake, right? Now, why is this important? Not only is it important because you have a top 10 token with billions of dollars of liquidity and billions of dollars of Matic staked already, which shows the confidence in the shared security across the Web3 ecosystem around the world, but also staking Matic and making your chain a POS chain is making you future ready for the new interchain future that Polygon is going to be enabling in the coming year. So that is something for everyone to be really kind of waiting for in 2023. We'll be announcing exciting updates on that. But we are building this ecosystem so that you have shared security, and then you're able to easily bridge to the other Polygon chains. And then you're able to take advantage of billions of dollars of liquidity, millions of onboard users, etc.
Awesome. No, this is super exciting. Cool. I guess, besides the kind of supernets, anything else you want to share or anything else that's, exciting on the roadmap that listeners should be paying attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we're not only bringing to the market what is currently the fastest EVM sequential chain, which is Polygon Supernets powered by Polygon Edge, but we're also bringing in for Supernets the future scalability to become ZK rollups, right? So this is super, super exciting. So as you know, a lot of these large customers, they want future proofing, right? When it comes to scalability. They want not only a sequential chain, but they want to have the option in the future to become a rollup themselves, to then even take advantage of Validium, right? And also have their own prover, which can then commit onto, let's say, Ethereum mainnet or even the Polygon POS mainnet for further scalability. So that is what Supernets is going to bring to the table with easy future compatibility and future roll-up interoperability for every single chain that we bring online.
Got it. Awesome. And I guess the ZK, rollups, they're going to be EVM compatible as well, right? So
Exactly.
so it'll be
Exactly.
fully like migratable code that you can just port there.
Exactly. So as you know, we really have a commitment to Ethereum and the EVM ecosystem, right? That's a core kind of tenet and vision for Polygon to always kind of, make sure that we are serving the EVM ecosystem and the ecosystem, because that's where we have the greatest number of builders and the real Web3 ethos. So that will always be the case for every product that we launch, including the upcoming ZK EVM-based rollups for Supernets. They will all be fully EVM compatible. Absolutely.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, looking forward to continue to work with you guys and bringing connectivity across all the supernets and Polygon. So, I think excited years ahead. And I think this will be incredible to see this go live.
Just to kind of wrap up, I just wanted to talk about, what we're doing with Axelar, right? So what we're doing with Axelar is, bringing Axelar's cross-chain infra to be available for all our Supernets customers, right? So what this will help those customers and their developers to do is to easily build out their cross-chain dApps, right? Built on Polygon Supernets, but those dApps would now be able to compose liquidity and functionality across Web3. So as you had mentioned, across the Polygon POS mainnet, across ETH mainnet, across non-EVM chains as well in the future, right? So that's something very, very exciting. And that's something that a lot of Web3 giants have been looking for because they need complex operations to be enabled, right? So cross-chain, NFT collateral, NFT minting, buying and selling in one click, for example, right? Cross-chain borrowing and lending, and cross-chain liquidity provisioning. So this is super exciting, and this is going to be enabling the next stage of scaling up in Web3. So that's what we're doing with Axelar, and super excited to do that.
No, this is amazing, right? And I think to me, like the combination of the two stacks effectively enables unlimited sort of scalability, right? Where you don't have to have kind of technical constraints or anything else, but still have global composability and liquidity sharing as you need, right? Which is exactly what the developers want.
Exactly. So our vision is always to unblock any limitation in terms of scalability, in terms of performance, in terms of interoperability, right? And composability. So with our partners and with our awesomely cutting edge industry leading tech, we're one by one, we're breaking down these boundaries so that any Web2 giant will now no longer have an excuse to say that, hey, Web3 isn't ready yet for scale. So we're bringing Web3 to scale. And so we're excited to work with Axelar on this. So that's kind of the end goal, which is multi-chain mass adoption for the users, for the world, via one-click experiences, right? Whether it be gaming, enterprise, entertainment, metaverses, etc.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Parth, for joining us. I think this has been a great discussion. So looking forward to continue building together.
Absolutely. Let's keep building. Take care, buddies.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone, for joining as well. See you soon.